Hi everybody, welcome to a new episode of the vlog. I tried to do my hair all nice, but the wind has been crazy. I'm in Toronto today. Today's vlog you will have already seen. I'm going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. I have always wanted to do this adventure. I'll make this brief, but I got hired by Via Rail back in 2020 to go from Vancouver to Toronto, and it obviously got cancelled because of what happened in the world. But this year I've finally, 5 years later, been able to do it, and I've always wanted to do this vlog from the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'm so excited to see and show all of you all the amazing artifacts that are within that museum, but there was one artifact that I wanted to see that could not fit within the walls of the museum. Today I'm here on Yonge Street at Maple Leaf Garden. I had a framed poster on my wall as a kid of all 6 of the original 6 hockey arenas. Of course, Chicago Stadium, Boston Garden, the Detroit Olympia, and the original, or the 1925 Madison Square Garden, have all long since been demolished. Credit to the city of Toronto and also Montreal for preserving theirs to some extent. I've never gotten a chance to go to what I believe is called the Pepsi Forum. Montreal's new reimagining, I think it's been around like 20 years, 25 years now, but their reimagining of Montreal Forum into an entertainment complex. I know some people were sad that Maple Leaf Gardens, at least in its interior, is Loblaws now. I have no idea. I don't know enough about the history of the building. Let me know in the comments to know if this was always a vehicle entrance, if this is maybe the legendary entrance that all those Leafs and visiting players would make their entry to the arena at. Was it a car park during the life of the arena? I have no real idea about specifics like that. I think I'm going to walk around the Loblaws a little bit to see if there's any remnants that can be seen there, but I'm excited to go inside because up on the top floor there is an arena built into the original bones of Maple Leaf Gardens. This is the house that Conn Smythe built. Conn Smythe bought a fledgling National Hockey League team, the Toronto St. Patricks, during the 1926-27 season, and renamed them the Maple Leafs and made it his goal and project to build this arena. Of course, in 1929, the stock market crashed for a variety of reasons. The world, of course, as we know it, went into the Great Depression, and this seemed an unsurmountable financial task, but Conn Smythe used pretty much all of his savings to build this giant arena in like record time. I believe it was built in under a year. Oh, I haven't even looked at these flags. That's nice. To build this arena in record time. It was ready during, I believe it was December 17th, 1931 that the first game was played here. The Leafs played here for 68 years. Some of their longevity at this arena is partially due to cost-cutting measures of one of the most famously evil sports team owners of all time, Harold Ballard, who owned the team first in a part share in the 50s and 60s, and then I am downtown after all, and then fully in the 70s and 80s, and was a hilariously evil man. I would tell some stories about how hilariously evil he was, but it's like too graphic to even put here. I strongly suggest all of you go to the Harold Ballard Wikipedia article under the section about his tenure with Maple Leaf Gardens. There's a segment of his Wikipedia article just called Other Incidents and Anecdotes, and it is a wild ride. Mr. Ballard passed in 1990. The Leafs kept playing here for about another decade and played their last season here. They moved out of this arena during the 1998-99 season over across the way, not across the way, more in the heart of downtown, to the brand new Air Canada Centre, which is now Scotiabank Arena. And this building hosted a few more concerts in the year or two after it closed, but was largely abandoned. I believe the last time that they used the interior, or the original hockey interior of Maple Leaf Gardens, was for, they did some filming in there for, if you remember, Battle of the Blades, the TV show, about maybe 10-12 years ago. Their first season, I think, was in Maple Leaf Gardens. And at some point shortly thereafter, they gutted the entire place. People were very, very sad to see a place like this completely gutted, but especially, there was controversy that it is, of course, now just a Loblaws. but I had a heart basically to forgive them when I saw how gloriously they have redone this front entrance. It was in a famous state of disrepair a few short years ago, and it looks so beautiful. It was realistically never going to be properly restored into an entertainment venue in its original capacity again. We're going to go upstairs if it's open and see what they've done with the place up there, though. There is still a hockey arena inside here, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah, let's first wander around and find the Loblaws entrance and see what's in there. They really have done a wonderful job with this original Maple Leaf. Well, not original, they've redone the Maple Leaf Gardens awning. It looks so pretty. Oh, here's a fun fact. Toronto's basketball history. On November 1st, 1946, right here at Maple Leaf Gardens, Toronto Huskies and New York Knickerbockers played the first ever game in the Basketball Association of America. I did not know that. I do not know my basketball facts as well. Yeah, so this building hosted lots of trial basketball games, and of course the Huskies back in the day when the Raptors came into the NBA. They came in under the promise that a new arena would be built, and that was the Air Canada Centre, which is now Scotiabank Arena. But they played the first few seasons also here at Maple Leaf Gardens. They have put a history plaque right here by the entrance on Maple Leaf Gardens itself. Glorious interior shot. Look at this interior shot, sweetie. Let's take actually a moment. Britt is being a good sport today.
You said, would you want to? I don't suppose you would, or something like that. And I was like, I don't mind being arm candy for you for hockey things. So.
Yeah, that's cute. I said you could do other stuff if you'd rather, because
he was very. You don't have to, but yeah.
She's being a good sport today. Are you gonna model the sign for me while I talk about it?
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. All right. So, yes, built in 1931 for the Maple Leafs. I basically said all of these facts already. 700 construction workers completed the arena in just 5 months. Wow. They received 20% of their pay in company shares, which I would imagine became quite valuable. That's very cool. There seems to be yet one more plaque here. Foster Hewitt exclaimed, "He shoots, he scores," during the national broadcast of many of hockey's most exciting moments in this game. Just, yes, yet another history plaque, as there should be many of them in this incredible place. Alright, the most exciting moment in vlogging history. We're going to Loblaws. I'm looking around trying to find anything. What did you say? This is a giant maple leaf built out of what I can only imagine are the original seats from the blue section from here in Maple Leaf Gardens. Behind them, you can see what I think is amazing. This is what I can only imagine is either an original staircase or probably the original where one of these sections of seating would have come out from. Here in aisle 25, they have put down ceremonially the maple leaf, the way it appeared as it was in the ice here at Maple Leaf Gardens. I do personally wonder if we're not a level down, because I see a lot of support beams. I wonder if actual sunrise was up there a level. I have no idea, but I didn't know they'd done this up so well. The place on which you stand served as Canada's center stage for nearly 7 decades. Yes, from 1931 to 1999. This is where they started. There you are. Honey, they did one strategic thing in designing the arrangement of this store and what would be in aisle 25. Do you know why this is the tuna section?
No.
Center ice is in this aisle, and people can take their ceremonial puck dropping. Alright, I didn't want to do too much filming in the actual Loblaws grocery store portion. It feels weird to me to film much in a grocery store. I'm going to see if this is one of those times when the Mattamy Athletic Complex, the actual arena they've built upstairs, is still here. It's up a few stories higher than the original arena, but it'll be interesting to see. Ceremonially test the doors. They are open. Okay. Toronto Metropolitan University. Inside Maple Leaf Gardens, look, honey. They've painted some of the old rows of seats right at the top. That's cool. An early shot in 1932. Different pictures of the original architectural design. Look what was around us at the time. Yes, you are right. I was telling her I've been curious about every little relic of paint and what it once was. There's a picture of what the interior used to look like before it was the Loblaws we just walked through. And I'm so excited to see upstairs. And now we must endure another flight of stairs up into what it said court viewing area. That sounds like what I want. This is the arena actually last year where the Toronto Scepters of the PWHL were playing, the Women's Hockey League, and they've actually moved out because they had too much demand for tickets for even an arena this small, so credit to them and to that entire league. It's been going really well for them. They've got a new Vancouver team coming in. I'm very excited. Various trophies. The university. No, you can't see really. It's black in there. So I'm gonna assume these are locked. They are. So you can't actually get in. Oh, viewing gallery you think is public? Mm-hmm. Okay. More plaques. All the musicians, look at this. Elvis, Bill Haley and his Comets, Jimi Hendrix, Neil Young. So many. Bob Marley, Madonna, Duke Ellington. Wow. Yeah, so it's unfortunately not possible really to go into the whole thing. Look at this though. The time capsule! Conn Smythe, founder and owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, secretly buried a time capsule in a cornerstone when the Maple Leaf Gardens were built in 1931. It was accidentally discovered by a construction worker while they were renovating in 2011. Wow, it was in this box here. And here are some of the things that were in there. The Toronto Municipal Handbook at the time, a book of the 1931 hockey rules. Some newspapers of the era. The official, that's very tiny for the official rule book of the National Hockey League, but it's from all the way back in 1930-31. And the the OHA rules as well. Okay, so before we make the little trip over to the Hall of Fame itself, I'll at least look into here. You can't really make it out well, but that's the famous domed roof of Maple Leaf Gardens. And that is inside what would have been the original auditorium. There's a nice surface there. There are stands on either side, but not along these sides. It was always a funny architectural feature of the Maple Leaf Gardens. But those are the rafters that Foster Hewitt's original broadcast gondola, which was originally built with this facility. And it was that state-of-the-art broadcast gondola that created the start of the Esso Imperial oil hockey broadcast that became Maple Leaf Gardens, and then it's the same broadcast gondola that Harold Ballard famously ripped off and dumped into the incinerator. And it's where all the original Stanley Cup banners, all 13 of them, used to hang, which were again sold off by Mr. Ballard in another feat of economic trickery. Yeah, he sold off a lot of pieces of hockey history, but there are a lot still to be seen over at the Hockey Hall of Fame. And that's where we're going next. We have made it to the glorious Hockey Hall of Fame. See how it's... I think this is the building that used to be a Bank of Montreal in the 1880s, but now it is the Hockey Hall of Fame. These are the class of 2024, but they've announced the class of 2025 now, and it includes the long-awaited induction of, for example, Alexander McGillney. That's going to be really nice, but we're going to go inside and see all of the amazing relics of hockey history. I've wanted to come here my whole life. They have a statue to hockey players cross. That's funny. Yeah, the original Hockey Hall of Fame was founded in 1943. They've been using this facility since the 90s. They have a display right when you walk in for this year's, or last year's really, class. Jeremy Roenick. So many. Look at this old Colorado Rockies jersey. That's awesome. We have one display here for each of the currently active Canadian teams. Very cool. Let's look at the Canuck one. Let's see what they've got here. Pucks used to score. Honey, look. Sorry, I won't keep doing
No,
that.
it's okay.
Pucks from the very first Vancouver Canucks game.
Oh my god!
1970. That's cool, the old Johnny Canuck logo. That's like their WHL logo. Wow. Yeah, using their original WHL logo, Canucks fell 3-1 to the Kings. Wow. These are, I don't know if these come straight out of jerseys. What's that? A wall of pucks?
Mm-hmm.
I will be right there. This is Igor Larionov's 1989-90 Flying Skate logo. Oh yeah, yes, look at this. This is the famous, I forget which goalie in the 70s used that Masters of 70s game puck. I am already pleased and I've looked at one display. I wasn't going to feature all of these, but in the Winnipeg one, they have, that's the Avco Cup they won for winning the WHA title in 1976, and there's just an amazing wall of pucks from all throughout, not just NHL history, but hockey history. More? Wow. Oh, and some, wow. First goal, Quebec Nordiques, 1997. All of these. That's so cool. And we haven't even entered the actual paid part of the museum yet. This is really cool. You noticed that there's an extra prestigious Tim Hortons, like an extra special Hockey Hall of Fame, because Tim Horton is a player who's inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, so they have to be extra about it.
Oh.
Well, this is quite a majestic mall. I guess this would have been the outside of the old bank that they've redone into this beautiful thing, and we go down the escalator into the museum. This bank we're outside even was built in 1845 by the Commercial Bank of the Midland District. 1845, wow, so 22 years before the Confederation of Canada. I don't know if this is the main entrance. I never really guessed that the actual entrance to the Hockey Hall of Fame is just in a mall food court. That's odd. But here we are, Mr. Hockey Gordie Howe statue. And we are in Hall. When you get in, it puts you right in the middle of the Hyundai NHL zone underneath the giant imposing figure of Ken Dryden. He was so tall he would always stand like that on the knob of his stone. Just got inducted in 2022, Roberto Luongo. They've used his Panther stuff, except here's a Canucks mask, that's nice. And this is Gretzky's bag from when he retired, wow. His full outfit is this. The stuff he was wearing during his last game? Yes, it was. The famous outfit he was in and took off in those famous clips. It starts with Willie O'Ree, of course, the first black player to play in the NHL. Oh, this is a stick from his only full year in the league, 1960-61. Immediately so cool. Patrick Wall is my favorite, one of my favorite goalies. Yeah. Game puck from the 2001 Cup final. I have childhood memories of watching the footage of Martin Brodeur cutting what I can assume is this square piece out of the net after passing the wins record. I just turned to the right and saw some truly ancient NHL jerseys, and this is the thing, like the number one thing I wanted to see most. Wow, one of... I always forget that they were woolen sweaters. This is... Oh, from his last season, so they were still sweaters as late as 1960. Wow. 1950s Leaf jersey from Ted Kennedy. I know it's because they've faded a little bit over the years, but they almost, I mean, I know they were handmade, but they look, I don't know, they just look so handmade. Look at the holes in this one. Wow. A jersey from the late, great Howie Morenz. That's unbelievable. Howie Morenz passed away in the 1930s. Wow. This is the loan to Conn Smythe to build Maple Leaf Gardens where we just were. That is crazy. Look at this. How old's this gold stick? George? It's a George Vezina. That is amazing. 1925-26 George Vezina gold stick. Well, this is already just a dream for me to see all of these amazing pieces. A miniature Clarence Campbell bowl, presented to Clarence Campbell himself, who was the president at the time. Turk Broda's. Oh, that's his medallion. Whose stick is this? It is Turk Broda's. Wow. This is the net that Wayne Gretzky scored. Yes, it was against the Canucks in Vancouver for his 802nd goal. And here we start some of the oldest hockey jerseys I've ever seen from the very earliest days of the league. I am such a geek about hockey jerseys. This is an Ottawa Senators jersey from after winning the 1923 Stanley Cup. Look at this OG. I used to always select this jersey when I played the NHL games, the old original Boston Bruins jersey. The detail on the crust is amazing. Again, another one that's been eaten over the years. Ceremonial vest. Jersey from a team that stopped existing in 1938. Pre-1930s Leafs jersey. The St. Louis Eagles existed only solely for the 34-35 season. Look at the state of that Blackhawks jersey from the 30s. All from the 1920s and 30s. That is unbelievable. Get into the 40s here. I always loved the 1930s New York Americans jersey. I never thought I'd see a Quakers jersey. The Philadelphia Quakers existed for one season, 1930-31. New York Americans throw pillow. And through the 40s and 50s and 60s here. Just unbelievable. Late 50s Toronto Maple Leafs sweater. I'm trying to see when they changed from sweaters to the more modern jersey. Even the 67-68 Penguins jersey, even in the 8-year difference between the Leaf jersey on the left and the Penguins jersey on the right, there's been a lot of changes. And then this Seals jersey from the 70s. Getting into the Atlanta Flames that only exist in the 70s. Cleveland Barons only existed for 2 years in the 70s. Wow. Canucks jersey from Pavel Bure. My favorite era of Buffalo Sabres jersey. Team so wild here. Defunct team, the Atlanta Thrashers. Finish with a relatively recent Boone Jenner jersey. Reverse retro from 22-23. Of course, the defunct Quebec Nordiques. It's just, again, I know this should be obvious, but everywhere you go in here, amazingly, jersey from the iconic Flin Flon Bombers. There's the Bobby Clark Flyers jersey from the 70s, 72-73. I always loved these 80s All-Star Game jerseys. Oh my gosh. Victoria Cougars. Victoria, BC represent. Victoria Cougars from the WCHL, a team that competed with the NHL for the Stanley Cup back in the 20s before they folded. How old is this stick? This stick is from the Stanley Cup final in 1896. So this is talking about the early days of the Stanley Cup. This is a jersey from 1967. Of course, the last time the Leafs won the Cup. I can't talk too much about that because my team, the Canucks, have not won it ever, so we don't have much of a leg to stand on there. 1996 Cup champion Colorado Avalanche, Chicago Blackhawks for the 2010s. Just amazing. Whose pads are these? These are Ken Dryden's from his very last game in the NHL in 1979. An even older NHL jersey proclaiming the Ottawa Senators to be the champions of the world in 1920-21. Hockey skates from Cy Denny in 1920s. Clint Benedict, who started his career in 1912. I guess I'm going to be doing a lot of filming in here because I cannot shut up about everything that I've seen. Wow. 1950-51 Maple Leafs jersey. Before I even saw this, just instinctively recognized this as Toe Blake's hat from all of the historical footage of him through the years. Amazing. Okay, when I turned this corner, I was blown away. I've seen footage shot from inside the Forum dressing room. This is, of course, a replica. A really stunning replica that they've built here with all of the players' individual booths. Montreal Forum, of course, used by the Canadiens from 1924 to 96.
His contribution to our team in our dynasties was his work ethic.
I've been told it's okay to touch these, that they are not the actual relics.
His trade.
Wow.
Was a really, really proud person who didn't want anybody to score on him in practice or in a game.
Imlach breeds discipline.
Wow. Again, I'm a sucker for the jerseys. Not a huge amount of Canucks inducted into the Hall of Fame for their work with the Canucks. We haven't won a tremendous amount of championships, but Pavel Bure has had his number retired by us and has been honored by the Hall of Fame. Oh no, we do have ourselves a Marc Messier Canucks jersey. That's going to be controversial for some. He was the captain of the Canucks during the late 90s. We don't like to think about that era much, but certainly an icon of the Oilers and Rangers. There's no doubt about that. Oh, this will be Jeremy Roenick's from the 91-92 season when the NHL did their 75th anniversary throwbacks. Paul Kariya was one of my favorite players as a kid. Wow. Grant Fuhr, always loved him. Marty Brodeurs, legendary equipment. So cool. And Haley Wickenheiser, I remember watching her in the 2002 tournament. Well, this immediately stands out to me. Well, first of all, just hanging here is the Lanny McDonald jersey, but here is a 1980-81 Wayne Gretzky Oilers jersey. Alright, let's take a look at the World of Hockey Zone. Starting with the display of the amazing 1972 Summit Series. Oh wow, it's the gift given by the Soviets. And some pieces to commemorate the Soviet team here. Alexander Yakashev's helmet. And some stuff commemorating the Canadian side here. This is the net, also in Vancouver. Two famous goal nets from Vancouver we've seen for the 2010 Golden Goal at Rogers Arena. And Sidney Crosby scored the goal that won the gold medal for Canada. Wow! The Canada Cup. The original Canada Cup trophy that was presented to Team Canada captain Bobby Clarke after the original 1976 tournament, and then again given to Vasiliev in the 81 tournament. And this is the one from that famous incident where there was a dispute over who rightfully got to keep the cup. The Soviets thought that they were able to keep it, but Canada said no and confiscated it. Honestly, I feel like they should have been able to keep it. They did win it, but I don't know. I won the trophy from the Rendezvous 87 series. The 1928 Team Canada jersey, winning gold. That's amazing. What's this? Wow, champions of the original 1920 Ice Hockey Olympics. It was not even a full tournament. It was just like an example sport before it became like a full-blown one. That's amazing, the original trophy. 1930s RCAF Flyers team through the 60s and 70s. That's iconic. USSR national team jersey from the Summit Series, 1972. That is just amazing. And from the Miracle on Ice Team USA 1980 championship. More Team Canada stuff. Dominic Hasek from Nagano, 1998. And of course some stuff from the famous 2002 year where Team Canada won for both the men and women in Salt Lake City. Wow, and this is the Paul Henderson goal stick. The 1972 stick that he scored their goal to win the 1972 Summit Series. There's more stuff back here even. Ooh, Summit Series, boom. Yeah, some of the Canadian jerseys from that same tournament, just amazing. And then, oh, the Ken Dryden Summit Series mask. Amazing. They have the women's hockey story, a celebration on the history of legends in the women's game. And the Walter Cup, of course, currently traveling with the PWHL. And here's some previous trophies from leagues and tournaments gone by. We have the TSN Theater, which shows movies. Not particularly interested in that right now. Okay, next is the St. Louis Bar and Grill Arena Zone, meant to represent kind of the front entrance to Maple Leaf Gardens. I think there's a lot of like interactive stuff that I don't care as much to do, but it's kind of cool. But yet more. Oh, this is for like accessible versions of the game. Prosthetic legs worn by players. These are from sledge hockey. That's very cool. Sledge hockey was always very entertaining to watch. I was watching that. Oh, this is a Maple Leaf Gardens turnstile. Oh, here's a player dressing room box from Maple Leaf Gardens. Here, and yes, this talks about all the original 6 hockey arenas that I talked about earlier, from Boston Gardens in, well, Boston. There's a brick from the original building. Puck. Very cool. Oh, souvenir program for a game in 1932-33. That is cool. 28-29 program up there. And here's some stuff from the Montreal Forum. Here's a seat from the original Montreal Forum. Their game program. Puck used in 1928. Wow. The Forum, some people don't realize, was actually built for the Montreal Maroons, not the Canadians, but still amazing. This is from Madison Square Garden, the original Madison Square Garden, the one that they demolished in 1968. Wow. Oh wow, a jersey from the 1920 Team Canada team I was talking about earlier. And we're really going to start getting into some trophies here. There's the original, is that the original Allen Cup? Oh, a puck from the 1901 Stanley Cup final. Wow, I've seen pictures of this in books. The O'Brien Cup. This was the cup for the champion of the National Hockey Association in the 1910s before the NHL came along. A patch, wow, from the 1914 Toronto Hockey Club. Oh, a Montreal Wanderers jersey from 1908-09. Wow. Spectacular. Truly. 1890s tonight, you found the good one. Very cool. I've been taking this part kind of backwards.
They carved
From the first. What's that?
They carved some stuff.
Oh, cool. Cyclone Taylor stick from 1907. Puck from 1902. What's this trophy? The original Queen's Cup. Wow, these sticks. Yeah, 1700s. This is a Spalding hockey puck, manufactured 1876 hockey puck. Wow. Officially adopted by the Canadian Amateur Hockey League, one of the earliest hockey leagues ever. And when are these sticks from? This Micmac stick is from the early 1900s. And this is an early wooden hockey stick that was carved by Alexander Rutherford in the mid-1800s. Oh, Star Skates. These were a big piece of Canadiana. These pair of Star Manufacturing Company skates gave insight into the popularity of hockey, invented them in 1866. just to be attached to boots, little skates. What's that?
They just didn't have knives on their feet before that?
Well, no, it's like this was the first mass-produced option. And I think that they existed for decades. This stick's from the 1850s, the far back one. Just a curved piece of wood that looked good for the job that they carved.
That is whittled.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Origin, tales, and claims. People have claimed to invent hockey as early as 1607. Wow. One of the original Zambonis from Boston Garden. Look at this old thing. It's huge. The Bruins have just gone back to this logo. They're going to wear it in the upcoming season. What's the era of this? Here we go. On the occasion of, oh wow, they've redone its entire alcove here. One of the earliest in service in the National Hockey League, 1954 Zamboni. This is the Abbott Cup, the Western Canada Junior A Championship. This is the current Memorial Cup. That is amazing. The Adams Cup, the AHA Trophy, and the legendary Avco Cup for the winner of the World Hockey Association during the 70s. Clearly, they anticipated the league going on a bit further. It did not. This is the Calder Cup, presented most recently to the Abbotsford Canucks. I don't think they will have their name engraved quite yet. Oh, this is all about the WHA with the Toronto Toros. Oh, it is John Garrett's hot mask. Well, awesome. I love John Garrett when he does his commentary play-by-play. Houston Aeros. That is Gordie Howe's Aeros jersey. Very cool. Wow. And here, they go through Franchise Alley. They go from continuing to be a good sport through all of this. Franchise Alley, which goes through every franchise in the National Hockey League currently in alphabetical order. As some people play some hockey-related games in here. The Haribo Shootouts. Oh my gosh, they have a Super Checks machine. I love these. I love these. I love these. I love these. My local hockey rink had one when I was growing up. I found a couple at arcades and they often do not work. Oh yeah! I challenge you to a game of Super Checks bubble hockey. It will take 6 minutes.
It'll take 6 seconds. I'm bad at this.
They are out of order. They never are working. It's broken. Doing a lot better than I did. Wait a second. That would have been a goal, but it's the, yeah. Ooh, good one. Wow. One more. Dang. Nope, put back.
I had fun and I didn't embarrass myself.
You did better than I did. It was really good.
Thank you for making me do that.
It was fun. You liked it, and I did it too. This sign proclaims that we are only 140 steps from embracing the Stanley Cup. Now it is time to go through the legendary Great Hall. It is at this point that the museum enters the bank building from the 1800s to form an appropriate level of gravitas for the Stanley Cup and other trophies. Here is Lord Stanley of Preston, the original 1893 donator of the cup. Oh, what an amazing building this is. Let's find the cup. The Vezina trophy. The Vezina is so grand. Look at these 1920s champions. Jack Adams for coaching. Rick Tocchet for the Canucks. Won that last year. He's not even our coach anymore, unfortunately. The conference championship trophies, Clarence S. Campbell Bowl. And the Prince of Wales trophy. The Calder trophy. Rookie of the year. The Selkie. NHL has some beautiful trophies. There's the Selkie trophy. King Clancy. The Lady Bing. There was some talk this year about renaming it for the late great Johnny Gaudreau, but as of now it remains the Lady Bing Memorial Trophy for gentlemanly play. And the Bill Masterton, named after the late great Bill Masterton, who passed away during a hockey game in the 60s, for an amazing story of dedication to the game. Wow! Well, I had no idea that the Lester Pastor Trophy was freaking enormous. Wow. The President's Trophy for best regular season record of any team. The Jennings Trophy, which is given to the goalie with the best goals against. Ted Lindsay. The Art Ross playoff end. The Conn Smythe. This year's not yet on there yet. The iconic Hart Trophy from the 1920s. This year not engraved yet. I'm most interested in going back into Lord Stanley's vault. I would assume the Stanley Cup that actually gets awarded every year is traveling with the Florida Panthers right now. It is the summer. They've just won it. And it goes to each player every day to spend one day with the cup. This is the real deal. This is the 1893 Cup that was originally donated by Lord Stanley himself and retired at some point in the 60s. These are all the original engravings. This is the Stanley Cup. A lot of the original winners are engraved inside the bowl that I can't quite see from here. Yeah. Here's some of the original rings and collars from the original building up of the Stanley Cup in the 20s, and this band recognizes the original winners, 1890s, 1900s, 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, 40s, because that ring was added later in the 60s during one of the rebuildings of the Stanley Cup, so they wanted to make sure they had all their bases covered from the past, I suppose. Here's the Vancouver's only Stanley Cup title. The 1915 Vancouver Millionaires beat Ottawa. That's interesting. I'd always been told that the Seattle World Champions of 1917 were the original U.S. winners, but here is a Portland, Oregon team being recognized from 1915-16. I wonder what the story is there. Here they've hammered flat some of the old retired Stanley Cup banners because it's gone through so many changes. This is this. These expansions are also behind as part of this, I think. And it became more like this. It became more and longer as they kept adding names to it before redesigning it once again in 46. And since 57, it's been pretty much the same. Some of these complicated bands from previous versions of the Cup are all right here. Teams that are no longer represented on the modern Cup get their moment. Here are the new modern style bands. These are from the 1957 Cup, but from teams that are too old. They have to retire bands from time to time. And when that happens, they get hammered out and put here. Everything up to 1965 has been retired off of the current cup. Wow, this is the 1893 Stanley Cup ring. Amazing, and they have various cup rings from different champions. This is the most recent one. Look at how opulent. Well, most recent one, except they're probably making more for the Panthers right as we speak. Look at these. Commemorative trophies and stuff. Presented at various points during the Cup's history. 1914 engraved Stanley Cup winning puck. Medallion from 1912. Pacific Coast Hockey Association trophy. What a creative use to this bank's vault space to host the most important trophy in sports. And what a building this is. Look at the stained glass ceiling. Very detailed. Well, with that, that'll about do it, I think, from the glorious Stanley Cup and the Hockey Hall of Fame. This has been an amazing vlog. You win the gold award for being a good sport. We will take you to Sephora for it. Yay!
I got a goal though, so.
You what?
I got a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy from that. Alright,
Yeah,
but
yes,
yes,
that's
Sephora.
true. You
I
did
do
score a
need
goal.
lipstick, so.
Yay. Okay, that's gonna do it for today's adventure. We've had so much fun from downtown Toronto. Got maybe one more video from in town before I go back home on the train. So sad. We've enjoyed our time here. Yes, thanks for accompanying me to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Something I've always wanted to do. I can check off another Toronto thing off of my bucket list. Yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff really helps me out, and I'll see y'all real soon. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.